Hello, 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 and welcome to Live Stream Impact. Happy Monday, everyone. I am Julie Riley, the social media manager here at StreamYard, and I am so excited that you are joining us today. I want to start by reminding you that if you are watching in the Facebook group, you need to click on the link in the description to give StreamYard permission to see your name. Otherwise, I just see Facebook user and I cannot say hello to you. And I want to make sure I can say hi to you and share your comments and answer any questions you have. Tell me where you are watching from. And let me know what you have going on this week. What is a big project or what is something that you are working to win and to accomplish this week? Because we want to all celebrate with you while you're working through all of those wins. Stick around to the end. We are going to have a giveaway and we'll be using the giveaway tool for that. And if you are watching the replay, make sure to type replay in the comments and we'll come back and answer any questions you asked while you were watching that replay. With that, I want to welcome our guest. I'm going to bring her up. Hello, Desiree.
Hi, how's it going? Excited to be here. Sorry, I was in the chat answering your questions.
Okay, I love it. That's perfect. Okay, so you are a YouTuber, a podcaster, a speaker, a longtime award-winning social media creative content creator. You've worked on hundreds of businesses and brands to help them grow their business with better content marketing. You know what it takes to help your business grow, build a community, get leads through a very noisy feed. You're a hot mess of a mom of two, a nerdy wife living in Arizona where there is always time for margaritas and pedicures. And I like that. I can always find time for a margarita too.
Yep, that's basically my motto. Like if I'm like feeling the stress, there's a margarita pedicure coming my way in a minute. That is for sure. That or a Harry Potter marathon. It's one of the two.
That's a good toss up there. Maybe a margarita with a Harry Potter marathon.
Yeah, that would be like the trifecta, right?
There you go. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about you though, beyond your bio, and really just how you got started in with live streaming and podcasting and building your brand and your business.
Yeah. So I've been a social media marketer since 2009. I spent a lot of my early years of my social media career, like telling people what social media was, explaining to it why it wasn't going anywhere and why it's not this place that the kids are hanging out. And then as I continued to grow, I did a lot of freelance social media marketing work and was fortunate to work with a lot of businesses. And when I married my husband, we went into the Air Force, and this town that we got stationed in was not like the biggest fan of hiring military spouses because we come in and out. The mission always dictates our life, and then we get stuck doing like childcare and stuff. And so I decided that I would help my community out by launching an agency called All-in-One Social Media. Well, true to military fashion, we got orders to move to South Korea. And I was like, I need a way where I can keep getting leads into my business so I can put these military spouses to work that I employ and like keep bringing them in and giving them money. Because if I can't keep doing that, obviously like the mission can't keep happening for the agency. And so I came across this book and I recommend it to everybody. It's called Vlog Like a Boss by Amy Schmidt-Power Landino. And it taught me how I can use, I have it in like my bookshelf somewhere else. I have it, it showed me that I could use video marketing to grow my agency. It wasn't this place just for entertainment and how-tos and DIYs and all this kind of stuff. And so in August 2017, I launched my YouTube channel, just self-titled Desiree Martinez. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I'm also going to launch a podcast. At the time, my podcast was called Marketing for Your Boring Business. It was a podcast for like the everyday business owner. And so what I did within that was a video. I did Veda vlog every day in August, and I did like a video every single day. And I was like, okay, now that I did that, what am I going to do? What's my schedule going to be like? And I just really worked through all of these different things. Like, what makes a good video? What am I doing? What is the purpose of all of this stuff? And I really dug into making that work for me. And since then, my YouTube channel has been my number one lead source for my agency, furthering allowing us to work with hundreds of business owners and putting dozens of military spouses to work as social media managers. That way they're able to do it on their own. They can work around the pace of their life and with the demands of military life and with the community that understands them as well. And where live streaming kind of like fits into all of that. Like, so video is like the foundation of like how I get leads for my business. But how live streaming started working is when we moved from Korea to our next duty station, I wanted to make my podcast, The Marketing for Your Boring Business, into a live stream. And so because I've been doing this for so long, I have an awesome network of people to connect with that are so good at so many things. And so I launched using StreamYard. Like, my number one requirement for my podcast is I needed it to look pretty. Like, that was like my deal. And StreamYard was still hardcore in beta at that time. But my buddy was like, you got to check out StreamYard if you want to be able to customize your overlays and stuff. And I was like, okay. And since as a graphic designer by trade, I was like, okay, how do I do this? And I loved it. I fell in love. I was like, perfect. This is like my answer, is my solution. I can make my podcast look like a live stream really nicely. And I haven't turned back since. Now, the podcast, the Marketing for Your Boring Business podcast, is no longer on. If you want to go check out old episodes, you can. I still use StreamYard, though. The foundation of how I use StreamYard is actually to record my podcast, The Women of YouTube.
Okay.
And I do it as a record to video. I don't live stream my podcast at this time, but I do use it to create a video podcast.
Okay, awesome. So what are the benefits that you think of doing a video podcast versus just an audio?
Well, I'm a big believer in I want to do more by creating less. Like, that's the big foundation of what I do, because I work with the everyday business owner. Like, I work with chiropractors and survey companies and lawyers and just normal businesses that usually are working in their business. Mm-hmm. And so it's one of those things for me that's like, okay, how can that person who's like good at being a chiropractor, a dentist, they run their business, they're in their restaurant doing all this, how can they effectively create content? And so when you do a video podcast, you're going to be able to take that podcast and do 8,000 times more things with it than you could like just an audio podcast. And like, while there's a lot of things that you can do with an audio podcast, like obviously have the audio podcast itself and, create your show notes and have audiograms and stuff. When you add the video element in, what it does for you is it makes algorithms more happy from a social media perspective. We all know that video is preferred by LinkedIn, by Facebook, by YouTube, by Twitter, by Instagram. So like, why not make algorithms happy with something you're already doing?
Right. So let's talk a little bit about that. For those who aren't totally understanding, the viewers we have that are at the very beginning of their journey, what that means to make that algorithm happy, and what it does for your business when you're playing with that.
Mm-hmm. I don't. Okay, so ask that again. Sorry.
So I guess what is the benefit of improving the algorithm for somebody who isn't really even understanding what that means?
Yes. Okay. So algorithms, for like a really basic understanding, is algorithms is what tells Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all of the social networks what to put in front of its users, right? And it decides what it's going to do. Back in the day, it used to be from newest to oldest, and you would scroll down. Like, I remember even like my mom would she would remember like, this is the last post I saw. And then I would just fill in like the gap. It was always really funny to me. But it just got really hard as we started using social networks more. Like, how do you keep track of everything? How do you keep up with everything? How do you pay attention to things that matter to you the most? And so Facebook started this where they're like, okay, we need to tailor this based on people's usage. So if they're constantly engaging with this person's content, this is what we should show them more of. And this is a business page that they like. So we're going to make sure that they see this content first before possibly this other stuff. And so the other networks have done that as well. So like with YouTube, based on the content that you watch or the things that you search for, your home feed and your suggested video is going to be related to what you're watching, or it's going to be based on the things and the activities of what you're doing within the YouTube. Right? Twitter but they're very much more not affected by that. Instagram, same exact thing. So like the things you interact with the most, things you care about the most, things you search for the most will show up first. And how the algorithm plays into the kind of content that works best. All of the content, all of the platforms prefer video. Obviously, YouTube is just video, but Facebook and Instagram are have doubled down and hard. There are ways to make money now on Facebook as a creator. There's ways to make money on Instagram as a creator through your video content. Now, there's a lot that goes into it. And it's a way for you to make it, like I said, you want to make the algorithm happy by creating these video pieces, different kinds of video pieces as well, that can work best for your audience and make the algorithm happy at the same time.
I love that. Okay, so you're using your video to create this extra content beyond your podcast. How are you creating your content with that? I know I kind of threw this one on you. I didn't have this one prepared. We're going to roll with the questions.
So I approach my podcast very similar to how I approach a live stream. I have a run of show, or it's like a base of questions that I know I'm going to work through. But because I'm having a conversation with somebody, I listen to what they're saying, and I naturally allow my questions to fall into when I'm having the conversation. So if we start out at the beginning where they're like, well, I started my podcast because of motherhood, I know that I can lean into okay, talk to us about motherhood and how you make this and how you balance it. And if they talk about business, like, okay, let's talk about the business side, because that's a part of the podcast that we do as well. And, we do rapid fire, and rapid fire allows for me to get a couple more questions in there, as well as some specific details. And so I have my base, I know how my podcast is supposed to flow. And so I use that run of show to be that base, and I just record it, and I will play with my settings, because I have some things I always have. It's when I have this background, so as you guys can see, we're watching, we have this pretty green background, live stream impact. It's got the StreamYard logo there. Mine is red and black and white, and it has Women of YouTube at the top. Yeah. And I have our colors and stuff in there. But what I try to do actually more when it comes to the video side is I try to actually make, when the person's talking, that they are full screen, because I can kind of do more. Because if you think about this screen that we're internet, it's a horizontal thing. Right. It takes up 2/3-ish of the screen, but it's horizontal. And so the majority of people are consuming video content and podcasts and stuff through their phones. And so, Instagram is for the phone, and YouTube has leaned into the short shelf, and TikTok is vertical. So when you're creating a vertical content piece from something horizontal, I want to have the biggest horizontal medium to work through. All right. So if I have our first tip of the day for video podcasting is, when you can, make the person who's talking, answering a question, full screen, just like this, because you're going to be able to take this video and do more with it, turn it into other pieces of content, turn it into cool audiograms, vertical videos, and things like that, versus when it's you guys side by side. And the other thing that I do when I'm doing things that are side by side is, when I can, I try to make us big side by side, because the branding isn't as important in the video podcast part as it is when I do it in the social. So I can add my branding into that on that part as well, right? So it looks like this, right, side by side, so that we can still be bigger on screen. And I can still, we have our logo here. Where there, we have our logo here for whatever our podcast is. So it's really thinking through with video. Kind of, you're putting your producer hat, you're putting your creator hat on, okay, I'm doing this video. What do I need this to look like for future posts?
I love that. And I love that you're using that content for all of those repurposed pieces. Because at the end of the day, time is so crucial. And if we're trying to create new content everywhere we go, you're going to be spinning your wheels and exhausting yourself. So if you can take that one piece of content and create multiple, you're only maximizing your time and being more efficient, which is going to make you more money in the long run.
Yeah. And, depending on how you create, I know most people like the podcast, the general term is weekly, but you could also, if you did a bi-monthly podcast, you can create, I have a client that we produce this for, we use StreamYard to produce their video podcast for them. Because it's great for doing remote work. I'm able to take that content and turn it into I think we've calculated it's up to 60 pieces of content out of one podcast, because we're not just taking the podcast and making a podcast. We're doing a podcast. We're doing show notes and act as a blog. We're creating quote images. We're creating clips. We're creating vertical videos. We're creating Pinterest pins, like, and you can make multiples of this and spread them out. Like my vertical videos, that 4x5 framing, I can take that video and put it on all the platforms and just make sure I'm adjusting messaging to make the specific platforms happy. And I'm simplifying my work. So you can just do so much more. Just spend so much time in this podcast. Do more with it.
Right. What are some of your favorite tools for creating some of this repurposed content? Because, we all love our tools and don't want to manually do it all.
Yeah.
So I know you've got some favorites.
Yes. So my favorite one for video is called Kapwing. It's Kapwing. It sounds like kapwing, like the sound Mario makes when he punches like the box for the coin. It's literally, that's the sound. So made by nerds. Yep, there it is. And I love this tool because when it's free to use and you're able to take your video and import it in. You can turn it into vertical videos. They have a really great auto captioning tool so that you can add in the closed captions because, again, 84% of people are watching videos without sound on. So that's really helpful. You can add like a header at the top. You can make GIFs out of it. You can create, short clips out of it and kind of create like a base and keep using it over and over again. And they have all of the different sizes that you need, whether it's like the 1x1, the 4x5, the 16x9, like they have all of that built into it. So Kapwing is like my favorite video tool because I can create the clips, and they have an audiogram feature as well. And for those of you who know, the audiogram is like when you have someone talking and the words show up, and then it's got like the little like sound wavelength thing, like that's an audiogram. You can create audiograms in there as well. So I really, really love it. And then my other tool that I like using is Canva. Like I was really resistant to Canva for a long time because I'm an Adobe girl. Like it's kind of like when like you're a Mac person or a PC person,
right?
Like very Adobe. And Adobe has Adobe Spark, which is kind of like their answer to Canva. But when I started needing, I started diving into their like video templates, I was like, okay, I'm sold. Like I'm gonna become like Canva convert, and like it's really great for my agency because we can like share content and create things, so it makes things a lot easier. I really like Canva because I can set my brand specs, my colors, my fonts, my logos in there, and then I can just easily go in, pick a template, and create something super quick. And I really love how easy you can do that with Canva. So those are my two main tools. Now, if you want to expand upon things, this is kind of goes into a budget situation. And depending on the length of your podcast, even, you can use rev.com, rev.com, and they will transcribe your podcast for you. And what I like about Rev is that it kind of matches with my mission with All-in-One, where it's like, you're putting someone to work, like you're helping like a stay-at-home mom or someone with disabilities or someone who's just trying to supplement their income because they listen and they type it all up, right?
Right.
And there's different features. So I like being able to use rev.com to get my transcript purely because then I can put those as my show notes. There's still a large percentage of people that want your content and to consume it, but they can like read and skim faster than listening to your full podcast or watching your full video. Like even with my YouTube videos, like tutorials and how to do things, it'll be like 7 minutes. I'll have like a 50% retention rate. And it's like, because people get what they need and peace out or lose interest, or they want to go, or the 25% of people that read over watch, they go read the blog on the website. So like that's another tool I like using for like the transcripting purposes.
Yeah. Well, and I love that because if you've got the blog on the website, the video on YouTube, you're going to be able to embed the video into the blog. And of course, all the algorithms we've said, love all of those pieces. It's great SEO. And the more that you're spreading that content out, the more you're going to be seen.
Yeah. And like I said, the point of what we're trying to do, like there's like the peak optimal way to do social media marketing, right? And what it is where every platform gets its own unique content. You create stuff very specifically for that thing. You're there, you're spending your time, you're engaging, you're commenting, all that kind of stuff. And that is great. And if you are a big company, you can do that. But the majority of us are small business owners or solopreneurs or boutique agencies and stuff. And so it's one of those things like we have to really take into account, like there's like the way I'd love to do it, but then I also have a budget and time constraint.
Right.
And so by the doing more by creating less, you're going to be able to do more. And that's why I like video podcasting, because it allows me to have another way to create a connection point with my audience, let them consume my content in a way that makes sense for them. And hopefully I can convert them into listening to my podcast if like that's what they like to do. I know some people are like, I only listen to podcasts. I know some people are like, I only want to get my content from YouTube. And so I'm like, well, why don't I just make them all happy and put everything everywhere?
Right. No, it makes complete sense. And Sabra, yes, audiogram. So that is what she said.
Yeah. And then again, audio, if you go Google audiogram, you'll get lots of examples. It's like an image or it's not an image, it's a video. And it could be like someone talking and having it, but it's usually like a still picture or profile picture. And then it's got like the waveform, the name of the podcast on it. And like, it's a way to make an audio video for your social network.
I love that. Arnold, we are live right now. You are not watching a replay. You are watching live. Okay. So if somebody was wanting to get started into video podcasting, this was kind of like the next thing on their want list of growing their business. Where or how would they go started? What are your kind of top starting tips?
Well, first I would spend time looking at different video podcasts and seeing if it's right for you. I feel like video podcasts work best in an interview situation. I don't necessarily think that video podcasts do great when it's like a solo podcast. So like, for example, my really good friend, Jessica Stansberry, has an awesome podcast, and it's her giving education to women so that they can like make money, market their businesses and brands and build something up for themselves. I don't think that that would make sense for her to turn that into a video podcast because it's just her staring at the screen. Maybe if she did it as a live, like that is probably an option too, where she can interact with her audience. But like, it's just one of those kinds of things. But that's just my preference. If you can find a way to do that, the ways to do that is if you have things you're going to show, or you're going to take that video and you're going to add in like B-roll and visual examples to hold attention. So B-roll is like supporting video content so that you're not just staring at someone's face the whole time. It allows for you to have like, if you're talking about Facebook, maybe you have like a screen recording of like your Facebook newsfeed and showing how something works, or someone on the phone doing it. Like, so if you're going to add that kind of stuff in, or if you're explaining how something works, you could be showing it on the podcast as well. And you can do all that through StreamYard, which is why, again, I keep using StreamYard over and over again. And then, so then look at interviews. And so then it's the interview situation. And so then you have to kind of think, okay, what do my interviews look like? So for me, my interviews are all remote, just like this. Like Julie's at her house and I am at my house, and like this is how the work is getting done. And this is how my interviews look. So I always preface with my guests, like, hey, this is a video podcast. So if you have a level of presentation you want to get done for yourself, like hair, makeup, clothes, clean the background so no one sees your laundry, like they have that opportunity to do that. And so I always make sure they know that they get like their list of like, these are the specs, like, hey, make sure you have the speed and restart your computer beforehand and all these kinds of stuff, right? Yeah. All the live streaming maintenance things. And so I do that and I record it. Again, I keep in mind those things. I talk about what I want the shot to look like. Full screen, side by side. Or I call this the zoom out and the zoom in, you know, what that would look like if I have things that I need to add into my podcast, like an overlay of some kind, like if it's a sponsor or if I want to show something off or have a video that I put onto screen to show whatever is happening. Like that's when I like make sure that that is set up, and just thinking through the podcast, like what do you need to show? What do you need to share? And kind of go. And then also if it's live versus the replay, maybe you just let it record and then your replay is going to be when you go back in and you can add in, you can edit it and you can add in the other stuff. And then if it's a live, you have to have all of the graphics planned out and everything ahead of time. Now, if you're in studio, and this is, I think, where people have the most success from a YouTube perspective with the video podcast, is that it's 2 people, 3 people, 4 people in the same room doing this. And I would love to be able to interview every single woman in person because I've done in person. I've done it in person. Just has this extra, just like vibey liveliness to it that I love. But when you can sit, and I get some people just sitting on a couch holding a microphone. My favorite example for a podcast is the Colin and Samir podcast, and I will share that so you guys can see it. I pulled up the tab ahead of time. They're awesome because they have found a way to make podcasting educational and informative, but from the standpoint of a videographer. Julie, if you want to put it on screen, I can show it to you. You can show our audience I'm talking about. So this is like what they do. And so they do it into two forms. So if you watch any of their videos, they'll have like in person, but they'll have in person in this studio, but then they will also cut in B-roll into their podcast so that people can like see like what they're talking about or having different animations. And so this is what I talk about. Like if you do in studio, you're not doing like a live, you can then add in these other parts to add more depth and attention holding while you're doing the talking, explaining something, showing something. And they do a fantastic job with it. So that's why like they're like my standard for when it comes to podcasting. And the other thing that they do that I really love is that they have a clips channel. And this is what the things to talk about with clips. And this is where this is like them getting more out of your podcast or your video podcast is they create these clips that are 4 minutes, 2 minutes, these shorter amounts of time, whether they're shorts, right? So they have this like Marquez Brown short that they do where they add it in and it's the less than 59 seconds for the short shelf. And you can see it gets them a lot of views. And then we have these clips that they're able to do that are a longer question answer style, captivating pieces of what they have going on for the episode for social sharing and getting attention to their podcast. And then of course, because they've made it its own extra YouTube channel, they're able to monetize it as well. Right. So that's what I like. This is like my favorite example of video podcasting done really, really well. And I would never I don't expect anybody to be up to like they're literally videographers. Like they have like a whole thing. But I think it's just a really good thing to think about like how you can do more with your existing content.
No, I love that. And I love being able to give people these ideas of kind of like, your immediate short term, you can start here and then aim for the stars. And if you're aiming for that level, even if it takes you, the next 5 or 6 years or so, you're constantly going to be growing and getting better and improving towards that.
Yes. And remember, when you're starting out with video of any kind, let's just get some perspective. Let's pull back a bit. The first time you do anything, you're going to suck at it. Like that's just how life works. I don't know what it is about YouTube and social media or video, but people just expect it to be like amazing out the gate. You could have been a chiropractor or a dentist or a business owner, whatever you do for 10, 15 years. But the first time you do something new, you suck at it, and that's fine. And you're supposed to start, you're supposed to suck, and you're supposed to get better, right? That is how this works. That's why that's the title of my book, Start, Suck, Get Better. Like you have to start at something, you have to suck at it in order to know what you have to do to get better. So Bill, if for me, the Colin and Samir podcast is that's my goal, and I'm on the track to get there. So one of the things I recently have done with my podcast, I've been doing StreamYard, and I've been recording this way for a long time. We get jazzed up and look all pretty and we do the thing. But I have been asking, and I've been going to start doing, is I'm adding the second camera into the shoot. So I've set up the second camera in my studio that has the 3/4 view where it's got my mic and my computer a little bit in it. And it's filming me looking at my computer, having the conversation. And I'm asking my guest to do that as well, so that we can have essentially a 2-shot. That's what's it's a 2-shot. So I have the straight on shot and the 3/4 shot. So I can add more variety into the video clips and stuff so that I can hold attention, because you can hold someone's attention just by changing a camera angle or doing a zoom in, zoom out thing. Like that's what I'm trying to do again as a YouTuber. This is stuff I pay attention to. I'm just trying to level up that content because I know my content's good. I know the interview is going to be good. I know the video is going to be good. How can I make it better? I'm going to add in a second camera for each shot. So it's just like building up to that kind of stuff is what you work on. But my first episode of my podcast was nothing like this.
Yeah.
I think I did on Zoom. I'm pretty sure I did on Zoom. So
yeah. I mean, we all started with the very awkward, trying to figure out, okay, where are we looking? What are we supposed to be saying? How do we get into this? And so getting that comfort level it takes time. So Chris asked, he said, I've been doing my podcast by audio only since 2018. I'm interested in switching to video, but I believe it would involve a lot more prep. True?
Yes. The long and simple is yes, is because if you've been doing something for a long time as a podcast, like you've got a rhythm, you've got a pace, like you know what to bust out and do. Where it's more work from a video perspective is you have to have a way to capture the video. So again, this goes into some of the things that we've talked about. Is it just you talking at the podcast? So then it'd be like, okay, maybe I set my camera and I record myself. So once you set up a camera, you think through your production quality, like, okay, my base level for this is a window and a webcam. And that is how I'm going to do my video first. Maybe then I level it up. So, okay, get like a 2-point lighting and I'm going to have my camera and that's going to record me. I'm going to level up. I'm going to get like a really good mic so that I can like sync up my audio for different situations. Figuring out like that part is more work. But you have more, it's like more work up front, but you get more out of it later if like that's what you're looking to do. And so I think that is where it takes more prep. I like my amount of prep at this point, like I have set up my studio so that at any point I can turn on my lights and record a video. Like that is how my office is set up to function. And I know that not everyone is like that. Like if like you look at my office right now, you're like, Desiree, what the hell is going on? Because I have like 5 cameras. I have these 2 cameras, which are my Canon M50s, one for recording my YouTube videos, one I've been doing for my podcast. I'm testing out a new webcam, and then I have the webcam I'm using, and I have webcam installed like on my computer, and and I have like my lights mounted to the wall. They're literally screwed into the wall, and I have a remote to turn them on. Right, like this is my setup because this is what I do. This is my job. I'm a video creator. Without creating videos, I have no way to bring in the leads. Like that's how that works. So my prep usually involves I have to probably do my makeup and my hair and put on a shirt that does not have a stain on it. Like I did that literally before this. I was like, I looked at my clothes. I was like, I need to change this and put on a nicer top, and I put on earrings and a necklace, and I was done. Like it. And I slept in this thing that curls my hair for me, so I don't have to do anything.
Nice.
So
I need one of those.
off to curl. Look into it's a thing.
Okay.
And my makeup is like 5 minutes. Like, so I streamline my process because I know what I'm doing because I've been doing this for so long. So that's your prep at first will take more work and then it'll streamline down. Now, I know Chris has a follow-up question that says, is the audio version of your podcast exactly the same as the live video, or do you cut it down editing? Okay. My podcast, this is a choice. There are some people who will podcast where they will have a full like lead in, they'll do their introduction, they'll have their whole interview and stuff, then they'll have their outro all within the video. This comes down to choice. My podcast, The Women of Video, I do my interview and I start it out by welcoming them to the podcast. What I do before my episodes is a lead in because I don't know what this podcast is going to be about. I know what I'm going to ask, but I don't know like what the tone is going to be. I don't know what stories they're going to tell. I don't know what their journey is. Like I go into my conversations with these creators very cold, except knowing that they are a female creator with over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Like that's my barrier to entry. And we have conversations. And from there, then I create an introduction that is my lead in. So like the one we just had I talked with a woman, she's older, and she has a YouTube channel about cars. And so I was like, you're not like my lead in was something online. It's like, you're never too old to get started and learn something new and break down barriers within your gender. And then I have a whole conversation. I lead into like talking about what we go over. I give a tip about video and YouTube to help my listeners on their journey. and then I dive into the interview. Like, and that is mine. And I also have like commercials. I have like an intro commercial. I have a commercial for my sponsor, and I have my outro where it's asking for like reviews and stuff like that. So that is how I do mine. You have to figure out what's right for you for your podcast. So I hope
Yeah.
that
I love that. Well, and I love that you talked about like the setup, because mine is kind of the same way, where if you actually look to the left or right of me, it's like piles and stacks, and it is not the pretty on camera scene.
No.
But
Here,
my office is set.
This is my office. Okay.
Yeah.
Stuff I have to put away and do. This is like stuff I got to hang up and trash.
Exactly. So it's creating that visual behind you that is your camera visual. And once you kind of get it set up, if you can just constantly keep that as your setup behind you, you're not having to recreate it every single time. So if that's an option, in fact, it drives me insane because I'm one of those that I like things straight and even, but my desk is actually at an angle, in an odd angle, because if I had it straight, then I have a door or a closet in the shot, and I didn't want those there. So then I angled my desk so I hit the corner. And it was one of those that I thought through.
Yeah, my office I had to build. This actually used to be the master closet of my bedroom. And what we did is we expanded it out. So it was longer, and I added a whole bunch of plugs and an air conditioning vent because I live in Phoenix. And so it's one of those things, like I had to build my space with what I needed it to accomplish. And I know it's a fortunate position to be in. But again, I've been doing video creation. When I built my studio, I have been doing this for 3.5 years. I knew I wasn't going to not need this.
Right.
So if we had bought a house and stayed still as a military family because we're out, like I knew I could do this and stay put. So it's just kind of one of those things, like if you're in a position to do it, you must do it. Like this is just like, if you like this, if this works for you, this needs to become your standard.
Yeah.
Our buddy Owen calls this the video creation station. You need to have one of those.
Well, and an example, if you're in a smaller space, or maybe you don't have the option of a full office in your space. I have a very good friend who lives in a small studio apartment in San Diego, and she actually uses one of the folding screens behind her to block off a section of her kitchen. And you have no idea that it's her kitchen there. And it's just a very nice folding screen. So again, she's able to take that very small space and create a much nicer backdrop. So you're not just seeing all of the stuff behind there, and it blocks that view.
Yeah, we live in an awesome time, like especially we're in a post-COVID world where all of these solutions are now available to us to like make our Zooms look nicer, to make our live, to do live streaming, to do YouTube, all that kind of stuff. And so like there's no shortages of information and resources. I really kind of think like there's almost too much and it can be overwhelming. So really just turn to the tools and the people that you trust and see what they're doing, and like let that be an inspiration for you to build out what you need. And it's always best to start with what you have. With a podcast, you need to have a good way to capture audio. And like for me, a mic was a non-negotiable, but I didn't spend a lot on this. I bought this off of eBay 3.5 years ago for like $55. Like it was totally worth it to me, and it keeps working for me, so I don't need to buy a new one.
Right.
My webcam I'm using is the same webcam I started off on my YouTube channel with. There's a webcam in a window. That's like how I did my videos. That's how I did my podcast. And so like just getting started and figuring out and then leveling up one piece at a time to improve your content is like really what it is.
Yep. And I love that you said that, because I mean, I used the same Logitech C920 webcam for years, and only this past fall upgraded my camera. I used the Blue Yeti microphone for, gosh, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And again, only just upgraded my microphone about 2 months ago, maybe. And it was one of those where I could have leveled it up sooner. I just didn't need to. It was working perfectly fine. And it wasn't until recently that, as things were starting to not work as well as they had gotten older and aged, that I made those upgrades.
Exactly. Terry Too Cool asked, do you use a Rode wireless mic with your secondary camera? Yes. This is my new favorite thing in the world. If anyone is looking for a good mic, I've done them all. I've had the Rode, like you put on, it's got the dead cat, the weird muffle thing on it. This is amazing. Like the quality is fantastic. It's small. Just got to keep it charged. That's the hardest part to remember, is keeping it charged. And it comes with 2, so you can do interviews and stuff with it. So I'm excited when I get to go back to conferences and stuff to be able to like have it to interview and like record and stuff like that. So
I know. I've heard such great things about that microphone.
Like there was a shortage. Like you couldn't buy them. I actually had to get mine off of eBay because every camera store. I live in Phoenix. Every camera store in Phoenix was sold out. Amazon was sold out. So it was a thing.
So let's see.
Chris has a question.
There it is.
Can both of you talk about your lighting setup? Yeah. Okay.
You go first.
Okay. I'm going to show you guys. So I have this. So my lighting setup is like, hold on, my cables is this. It's set up. It's mounted on the ceiling. I have these things I bought off of Amazon. I have this bar, a piece of wood I mounted it to. And I have 2. Now, my reason for having this lighting is I had a ring light and the ring light worked great. I've had a window. The window worked great. This room does not have a window. I did not like the alien eye that the ring light gave me. I also don't like the just like full on face. And so these LED lights are a good fill in, and it kind of like lets my background look nice as well. When I don't have my lights on, this is what my office is like. I have a top light and it works fine. Like this is bright and hot. It gets a little warm, but the top light makes me look like a Disney villain. I'm not about that. So that's why I have this set up. And like I said, all of my stuff is calibrated to like recognize it and put it in. And these are just as a lighting kit I got off of a Black Friday sale actually this last November. No regrets. They're awesome.
Yeah. And so my lighting, I actually do not use my top light because it is super orange. And I, even when I've changed the bulbs, it's the globe that's on it. It just gives off a really orange hint. Although I have realized that the season is changing, and with the season changing, I am going to have to do some lighting adjustment because I am feeling a little orangish even today with that. But I have a window in front of me, but I have blinds down over the window because it gets really washed out otherwise. And then I have a little LED desk lamp that is it on one side. And then this side is a ring light that I actually angle a little bit more upwards, so it's not directly on me. And it's what I've used for years and it's working, but I do have light replacement actually in my shopping cart to buy probably this week.
Yeah, so I think the number one thing is it's 2 lights.
Yes, yeah, both sides.
Their face, they're filling. Right. They get us nice. Well,
because you can see if I turn off one side, suddenly it's more shadowed, over on the side, and so you can kind of see the difference if you turn one off or not. And this one, same thing, where if I angled it down, it fills in a little bit more, but it's really kind of it's playing with your angles and making sure you have both sides.
Yes, but I do think 2 lights, both sides, if you can.
Yeah. So. And then, okay, so Arnold asked the mic. So you have the Blue Yeti, correct?
I think he was asking about this mic. So this is called the Rode Wireless Go 2. That's what this is. It comes in this little like envelope like this. It comes in like one of these. And it comes with C cables, like what you use for charging your phone. Like this. And you have 3. One that you mount to your computer, one that you mount to your camera, and it plugs right into the audio port. And then you have 2 of these, and they connect wirelessly to each other. And you just turn them on and go, and they're fantastic. So that's what that mic is, Arnold.
Yeah. Okay. So overall, you've been doing video in various formats for a long time. Yeah. How does video play a role in your long-term business goals? Where do you see yourself going with video?
Well, video is like my prime, like I said, video is the main way I get leads into my agency. I am a big believer that every video you make, especially because I create for YouTube, like that's my main thing. So every video I create on YouTube is designed to get people onto my email list by giving them and to continue to give them value, because my email list is where I can offer them other things, prove my expertise, and ultimately they'll come to me and be like, Desiree, I just need you to do this for me, because that's what we do. But I am adding in a membership. Should be launching actually this week. It's called the One Video Club. One Video Club is all about creating 1 video a month and using it as the pillar of all of your content for the entire month. Again, being able to take 1 video and creating 60 pieces of content that you can use throughout the month, and we walk you through how to do that step by step. Plus, you get the community and a calendar and extra content and stuff like that. So it's really handy. And then I have the Women of Video. I have the Women of YouTube podcast. So I mean, well, it's not, and we're launching our Women of YouTube channel, hopefully by the end of the month, where we'll be doing daily content, whether it's shorts, clips, or a long form podcast, because we have a long archive of video and everything like that from every episode that we've done. And then I'm also doing the Women of Video conference online September 7th through the 9th, which is all about, it's for women, taught by women, everything that they need to know about the different parts of video, whether you're a vlogger, a creator, an educator, a regular business. And it's just gonna be 3 days of great content, great keynote speakers, and a lot that you can walk away with. And so how I'm using video in that sense is like how to bring video to the masses and use it continuously to continue to expand and grow my brand and my business and help. Like I'm a big advocate of helping my fellow people, because I feel like there's being a YouTuber and then there's doing video marketing, and they're very separate. And I am teaching people how to be video marketers and how to use video to market their business versus becoming a YouTuber. It's very different.
Yeah. No, I love that. Okay. We're coming up on last couple questions here. And if you guys in the comments have any more questions for Desiree, make sure you get them in, because we want to get those answered before we do our giveaway. And want to know, when you've been doing live video, and I know you've got a long library to pull from here, what has been your favorite live moment? Whether it was a guest you interviewed or something cool that happened, or somebody's show you were a guest on, but what has been your favorite live video moment?
That's really hard because I do a lot of live videos. I actually want to go back. It was probably to one of my earliest live videos, and that was when I got to interview Jay Baer about marketing and his book Talk Triggers. That was really fun. I did that for the Marketing for Your Boring Business podcast. Like that was a really good interview. And then my second one is my last interview on the Marketing for Your Boring Business podcast is I interviewed Daniel Harmon from the Harmon Brothers. Nice. And that was really fun because we talked about his book, From Poop to Gold, and the whole journey of how it worked and how the everyday business can add humor into their content. So those were some really fun interviews I got to do in my early live streaming days.
I love that. That's awesome. And then if you could go back in time to when you first started live streaming and give yourself one piece of advice, what would you give yourself?
I would say focus. And I stopped getting advice from too many sources. When I was getting started, I was always trying to do all these different things, and I kept trying to approach YouTube like a social media strategy versus a search strategy, and like not understanding how the algorithm worked as well. So I would say focus, like pick a keyword and just become the master of that keyword for like 6 months and just create nothing but content around that. That way YouTube knows who to put you in front of, and you can find your right customer and all that kind of stuff. Because I did a lot of dicking around and stuff, and I just shouldn't have done that.
I love the focus, because it's social media rabbit hole. It's easy to like go down so many tunnels and try to do everything. All right. I want everybody to know we're going to do the giveaway today. We are doing the Puddles duck. So put in the comments, #Puddles. Hold on. I've got to change the giveaway tool. Okay, you know what? We're going to take that off. I'm going to change that because I did the wrong graphic with the wrong giveaway. We're going to do love puddles. So do #love puddles. And we're going to show that there. There you go. #love puddles. And you will be entered to get puddles. We will send that to you in the mail. I had my graphic wrong with my giveaway tool. Hashtag. So there we go. While we're giving everybody a minute to put #love puddles, what are some final tips or pieces of advice you have for our viewers, or little nuggets of wisdom you want to share?
I would think when it comes to video podcasting, the most important thing is just, again, you just got to get started. If you want, I think that video is the best way for anyone to get and touch their target demographic and have success on the platform. And on any platform, it's not even just like a YouTube thing, like Facebook and Instagram and all these places. And the more you can do, the better you can be with it. And so that's definitely my suggestion. You just have to start and figure it out along the way. And just know that you can come to resources like StreamYard, and our community has so many great educators. There's so many people that are doing video podcasting really well. I'm happy to answer questions in the StreamYard community. Just tag me at Desiree Martinez and I'll show up to answer. But really just get started and spend time figuring out if it's going to be worth it, because if you having a podcast puts you in a position where you're ahead of your audience, ahead of your competitors. Having a video podcast puts you like leaps and bounds ahead of your competitors. You're gonna be able to do so much with it.
I love that. Okay, we're gonna do the drawing. So if you don't have it in, you better get it in before I hit the draw. Let me share the screen. All right, guys, here we go.
I wish I could enter to win one.
Dun, dun, dun. I keep saying I got to get drum roll music, and I've yet to do it. I say it every week. Dimebag Darren Lowe, you have won a Puddles. You need to just email us at marketing@streamyard.com. So send us an email. Tell us that you won Puddles on today's live stream impact, and we will get that sent out for you. Congratulations.
Yes. And I also would like to say, guys, you need to spend time figuring out audio, because audio is taken over in a big way. I think that Clubhouse really showed that as a way that like they're really wanting, like we're seeing, like it's a great way to listen. It's a great way to create if you don't like your face to be seen, which again I think is stupid because you all have a great face.
Yes.
But Facebook, I think the biggest issue is like Facebook has even talked about how like they're going all in on audio, especially like not only are they doing like their whole like sound bites thing, sound station, but they have like podcasts are coming to Facebook, and they want that audio, they want that audio pie, and so I feel like I've seen at some point YouTube was testing a podcasting tab on the Explore feature. So I feel like it was there, and I've gone back to look for as I've gone to it before, and then it wasn't there, and I was like, so they're messing around with stuff. They're going to figure things out. So get good now. That way, when all these things happen, you have great content ahead of everybody else, and you can be that thought leader in it.
Nope. There you go. That is the perfect parting advice for you guys. Desiree, I want to thank you so much for sharing with our audience so much amazing little nuggets and pieces of wisdom that they can go and start to work on with their business goals.
I am so excited. Thank you for having me, guys. Remember, all of you listening are impossibly amazing. I appreciate you.
Awesome. With that, go have a wonderful Monday. Have a great week, and I will see you next week. Bye.